what a fucking story it's going to be, mate. No, seriously, mate. What a story it's going to be. From getting told, okay, if I'm wrong, go and sign him, to just blitzing everybody and winning the PFL. Can you imagine? This is a rocky story with what you're watching unfold here.
Brendan Loughnane has had a winding road to world title contention. The Brit's storied career has seen him compete on The Ultimate Fighter The Smashes and later lose a contentious decision to Tom Duquesnoy for the BAMMA featherweight title. To add to that, he was controversially not offered a contract by the UFC on the back of a dominant showing on the Contender series against a current UFC fighter. But now, 2 years later, he is in within touching distance of claiming the PFL's featherweight tournament prize of $1 million as he enters his semi-final clash with Movlid Kabalayev on August 27th. This is PT Carroll for MMA On Point, and this is why Brendan Loughnane winning PFL's 145 tournament would be a true Rocky story. I was delighted to speak to the UK featherweight frontrunner about his journey so far and about what winning the coveted PFL featherweight tournament gold would mean to him.
It's been a long road at it. My first fight was 2008. You know, it's just been a long old journey, and I've never been one to duck a fight. I've always took the hard road, and ACB and here and there and BAMMA world titles and let down. I just think that cream does rise to the top eventually, although it took longer than it should have. We're on a 7-fight win streak now. We're flying through this tournament. Everything's is going the way it should go, and man, I just can't settle and rest until I'm a world champion. I can't. How can I at this point?
At 31, Brendan Loughnane boasts a record of 21-3, but the last 2 losses on his record are highly controversial and represent significant crossroads in his career. At the age of 22, he competed on The Ultimate Fighter, losing out to eventual winner Norman Park in the semi-final, a loss that doesn't appear on his record due to it being an exhibition bout. He made an appearance in the octagon directly after the show, losing to fellow Mancunian Mike Wilkinson in a closely contested bout where Loughnane scored a big knockdown in the final round. He would avenge that defeat with a first-round knockout 5 years later. After the loss in his UFC debut, Loughnane returned to the regional scene. In roughly a year, he put together 3 wins to claim the FCC title before then-established European banner BAMMA added him to its roster. 2 wins over Florian Rousseau and Stephen Polifonte left him on a collision course with Europe's most talked-about prospect, Tom Duquesnoy, for the BAMMA featherweight title. On the night they met in Dublin, the overwhelming majority of press row had Loughnane up on the scorecards after the 3-round contest. When Duquesnoy was announced as the winner via split decision, some of the crowd showered the cage with half-drank plastic beer cups to show their disapproval. What the European scene didn't know at that stage was, Loughnane was already told that a UFC contract was waiting for him had he had his hand raised that night.
You got to take your knocks along the way, you really do. You really do, and it made me want it 10 times more every time.
Devastated by losing out on a UFC contract, Loughnane rallied again. After claiming the lightweight FCC title immediately after the controversial Duquesnoy loss, he tagged on another 2 stoppage wins under the Tanko banner before being signed to Russian powerhouse ACB, where he avenged his loss to Wilkinson in his debut. When an opportunity to face UFC vet Pat Healy at lightweight presented itself, the British featherweight campaigner jumped at the opportunity. After a striking masterclass of a first round, Healy began to work his way back into the contest towards the end of the second. There is no doubt that the American won the final round. When the decision was sounded out, it was another split decision nod in favour of Loughnane's adversary. Even Healy's countryman Frank Mir, who commentated that night's action alongside Brian Lacey, was shocked by what he heard.
28, Healy.
Wow. I mean, I've had Tom Duquesnoy, heart and soul poured into that, and then going and fighting in my first main event in Ireland, then getting that stole off me. Then it was Healy. Well, I thought I won the fight, whatever. It felt like it was a 5-fight win streak. I was here, no. 5-fight win streak? No. 5-fight win streak? No. And now it's 7 fights, and we're fucking going, mate.
The Healy loss would mark the last of Loughtnane's career, but that doesn't mean it's been smooth sailing. After 2 more stoppage wins, Loughnane was given an opportunity to compete for a UFC contract on Dana White's Contender series. His bout with current UFC fighter Bill Algeo paired the 2 most accomplished fighters of the night together. And even though Loughnane outclassed his opponent and clearly proved himself as the best fighter on the card that night, the offer did not come. White's summary of the bout won him mass criticism from the UK and Irish fan base, who stayed up in the early hours of the night to watch the midweek contest.
I have to give Brendan credit. He fought a guy who's been a champion in 2 different, but let me tell you what you don't do. You don't come here, you don't fight that type of fight, and you don't go for the double leg with 10 seconds left of the fight.
In the immediate aftermath of the contest, Loughnane was closer to hanging up his gloves than ever.
The Contender was the closest. Well, if you imagine it, I fought in the UFC in 2012, went on a crazy win streak since then, was the number 1 in Europe, watching everybody else get signed, and then I got my chance on the Contender, did what I did, and still didn't get there. And I thought, where now? What now? I just thought, UFC's clearly not for me, and then I just didn't know what to do. And then I was just like, right, well, what's the next move?
Although UFC's snub of Loughnane made him a bigger name than ever, he admits that he has mixed feelings in terms of the optics of the controversy.
It's just interesting that my whole career is based on this one thing now. People only know me because of what happened. It's an infamous story. I just don't want to be looked at as the guy that, he didn't make it in the UFC because he wasn't good enough. And we know that's not true. But even if I meet someone in a street, or if I meet someone in a bar and they go, oh, you fight UFC? That's the first thing they say. I say, nah. And it's like, oh, automatically you're down there. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how general fans look at it. And that's hard sometimes because I've worked my ass off and I deserve the credit that I get. We're all forgetting I went in and I won that fight. I went in and I won all 3 rounds in that fight. And now he is in the UFC and he's winning fights in the UFC. So it's like, it's a hard one to swallow, but we have to move on from it. And a lot of people would have fell by the wayside, mate. I'm telling you now, a lot of people would have been like, right, well, how many people have gone on the Contender and got turned down and gone on to do great things? None. 0. Actually, I'll tell you one person who has done it, and he's an inspiration to me, Emiliano Sordi. Emiliano Sordi lost on the Contender and went and won $1 million next year. Knocked 5 people out in a row. He is incredibly inspiring to me, and once I seen his story, I was like, yeah, man, he's done it. Let's do it.
Hoyt was put on the spot for snubbing Loughnane for weeks after the decision was made. In an interview with ESPN, he uttered a statement that has already begun to bite him on the backside.
And if I'm wrong, he's a free agent. Everybody can sign him. He was on our show. Show does great, does good numbers. He's available. If I'm wrong, somebody else can pick him up, and according to, the people who are complaining about it, it must be a big score. So go for it.
Although his appearance on the Contender series didn't result in a contract, it put a bigger spotlight on Loughnane than ever. Options were abundant, but in the end the Manchester native opted to sign for the PFL, adding a huge amount of traction to the promotion in Europe, especially in the UK and Ireland. After 2 wins in his first 2 outings with the promotion in 2019, Loughnane was thrust into the tournament format in 2021. In his first tournament clash with former UFC fighter Shaman Moraes, he picked up 6 points for a devastating first round knockout finish. Even without the help of his veteran coach Tony Musa, he tagged on another win against Tyler Diamond to secure the number 1 seed spot going into the semi-finals. Even though he's making more money than ever, Loughtnane's hunger has remained intact.
I'm sat in a back bedroom in a single bed in Las Vegas, hiring a room out, not seen my family since September 2020, chasing this dream that I've been chasing since I was 17 years old, mate. The fire's just getting stronger for me. It's weird. The fire gets more and more. Right, $1 million is great, don't get me wrong, but when I watched my face when they announced Duke Umar as a winner, that was my first shot at a world title. And I remember how I felt. So for me to win a world title now, that just means more to me than anything.
With Lance Palmer, the winner of the first 2 seasons of the PFL featherweight tournament, failing to win a single fight in season 3, Loughnane feels as though he has an opportunity to become the new face of the promotion.
Look, Lance Palmer didn't win 1 fight this year, and he's 10-0 in the PFL. People are starting to think, I want to get paid. People are just looking at that golden pot at the end of the rainbow, and it's tough, man, when you're making decisions about going to organizations, but at the end of the day, we are prize fighters. At the end of the day, I can't pay my bills with people's opinions, and at the end of it, I want to have a decent bank account so I can retire happy. PFL are like, here we go, here's this, here's that, they're looking after me, they're on ESPN, you can have your own sponsors, and they're getting behind me. They really want me to win it. They're like, fucking hell, I'm marketable, I'm fan friendly to watch, and I speak my mind. Even at the press conferences, I'm like, you can all get it, all of you. Like, I don't give a fuck, mate. I've been around this sport my whole life. None of you are taking this from me. They all just kind of look at me like this because I mean it. Me and Bubba have got into it a few times. Like, all the guys, Chris Wade started opening his mouth. I'm just like, right, sweet, let's fight. Like, that's just how I feel about it. And one other thing I really like about the PFL, they don't give a how good your sponsorship, how good your social media is, who you might like. You get seeded, you're fighting this guy, and that's it. You get a name sent over, and there's no options, mate. And I like that because I got ducked for years, mate. People weren't trying to take that fight for years. You get a name across the table and that's it. And I love it like that. It's much better for me.
Although he's been making waves in the PFL so far, he knows his next opponent, Movlid Kabalayev, will demand his full attention on Friday.
But yeah, he's a great opponent, mate. He's 17-0 and he's from Dagestan. That just tells you everything you need to know, mate. Come on. These guys are just ripping through everybody at the minute. They really are. Look at Bellator. He went 6-0 the other night. Anyone from the Khabib heritage, it's always going to be a tough fight. But, mate, you're not in with one of these other guys. You're in with me. Lance Palmer. And who else did he fight? Lazard. These can't strike like me. These can't punch and kick like I can. Yeah, they can wrestle, but anyone can wrestle now. I mean, let's have it right. He's going to shoot for the fences, just like every other opponent I've ever had. So far, so good with the wrestlers. So let's go, mate. I've surrounded myself with some incredible wrestlers this camp, preparing for the worst. And, you know, we're prepared.
Loughnane also weighed in on the other semi-final bout between Chris Wade and Bubba Jenkins.
Chris Wade lost his first fight, in my opinion. Well, in everyone's opinion, he shouldn't even be in the semi-final. So I don't know why he's running his mouth saying he wants to fight me, mate. He's lucky you got a pass to get in here. He did impress me in his second fight against that Russian fella. Bubba, I don't know. It's one of them. Chris Wade's got a lot more experience than Bubba, and he's fought better names. So, and he's been at 55 in the UFC. He's fought Makachev, he's Rustam Habilov. He's been in there with some names, mate. So he's not one of them that you'll get out there easy. So that's a tough fight between them two. I'll be excited to watch it.
Loughnane is now just 2 fights away from becoming the PFL's featherweight tournament champion, and while he's taking it one fight at a time, he can't help but consider how the $1 million prize could change his life.
Mate, it's life-changing, innit? It's life-changing, mate. From someone that was making £150 in the beginning to go and then fight for $1 million. And even when I was making £150, I was a stubborn cunt and I wouldn't let you beat me. So if you're telling me there's $1 million at the end of this fight, good luck, mate. You have to put 4 of them in there, mate. You really will.
And should he claim the title, he is open to the cross-promotional ideas recently floated by newly crowned Bellator champion AJ McKee.
I'm extremely happy at PFL, and if PFL comes to me tomorrow and say, hey, we want you to fight this guy from this organisation, cool. Cross-promotion will be fantastic. I mean, but don't sleep on PFL signings either. Let's see next year. Like, they went from first season having like randomers, guys that are like 1-0. Then they went to a bit better, and now they've gone to like real high-level featherweights, and who knows what's going to happen next year and who's going to sign and who's going to jump ship elsewhere to have a crack at the $1 million. Who knows?
More than anything, Loughnane knows that by securing the world title, he will have displayed the resilience, determination and grit of the great, albeit fictional, Rocky Balboa.
What a fucking story it's going to be, mate. No, seriously, mate. What a story it's going to be. From getting told, okay, if I'm wrong, go and sign him, to just blitzing everybody and winning the PFL. Can you imagine? This is a Rocky story with what you're watching unfold here. This is a literal Rocky story, and the fire up my ass is different. It really is. It really is different. And not just because of the Dana thing. I'm going all the way back to Ireland, mate, at the Free Arena. I'm taking every one of them. And inside me, it's still there. All of them are still there. I've not forgot about any of them, mate. Any of these letdowns, they all just add up to where I am now.